99% of the time, once they see that heart beating, that they're done. They're like, no, we're keeping this child. And I would say, too, in all the people that I've talked to over the years, I've never met anybody who regretted keeping their child. Nobody. But there are so many women who do regret abortion.
Hello everyone, I'm Heather Hobbs with The New American, and today we have a wonderful person, Eileen Escalante. She is a pro-life activist, and we are here to talk to her today about some of the things that she's been doing and some of the things that she cares about and the knowledge that she has. Eileen, could you go ahead and share with our audience some of the things that you've been involved in?
Yes, I work with getting the vote out for pro-life candidates and talking with individuals about the pro-life issue, and really in touch with the impact of talking to somebody on a one-to-one basis, how that has a huge, it's a deal changer when you talk to somebody directly about the life issue and focus on the fact that the baby has a life, and kind of shift that focus away from the mantra of a woman's right to choose, because many people say that they're pro-life, but they believe in a woman's right to choose, which is, the two don't really go together, you know.
So you're taking the time to essentially humanize the baby, where as a society, we have somehow shifted into a woman's right to choose supersedes the humanity of the unborn.
Correct.
You're trying to change that narrative.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So what I find a lot of people ask is, what is the most effective way to help women who are abortion-minded? What have you found in your own personal experience that's been effective?
Yes, absolutely. I think it's back to what I had just mentioned, that when women think about the fact that a baby can see, hear, feel pain, live on their own outside of the womb at a certain point, it goes way beyond the question of just, there's more than one person in the picture here. It's not just about the woman. You have two lives. And,
yes.
You know.
Absolutely. And, you know, we have so much more knowledge than when Roe v. Wade was passed. When Roe v. Wade was passed, we didn't have these really detailed ultrasounds. We didn't have the data and science that we have now. We know that babies are pain capable as early as 8 weeks, which is when most people are just finding out that they're pregnant. One of my children, my third child, my son, he was a micro-preemie, and when he was 27 weeks in the NICU, I went to stroke the top of his arm, and his heart rate went up to over 200 beats per minute, and he was in pain. And that was the first time I really saw how these really premature, tiny babies, they feel pain on a much higher level than a baby who's full term. And his nurses and doctors said that's because their nervous system is underdeveloped, and they said to me, the earlier they are, the more pain they feel. And that just struck me very deeply, to think about the agonizing pain that these very tiny babies are going through.
Yes.
And so what do you find as far as resources? What's out there for people to educate themselves and learn about really the truth about the unborn? Because we do know that Google and other similar search engines, they put Planned Parenthood and other pro-abortion sites first on the first results. They filter down anything that's pro-life. So where can people go to find some information that is accurate?
Susan B. Anthony List has an excellent website, a lot of information there, and they have a sister organization, the Charlotte Lozier Institution. They do a lot of research, and also you could go to Live Action. There is really a number of organizations really doing a great job trying to get the truth out there.
You know, I will say one thing that's a big win for those who are fighting for the unborn is that we seem to have the largest group of young people that are pro-life, like the biggest ever in history. And that is because science now supports life. We have these secular organizations that are completely science-based and legal-based, and they go in depth about the science of how these babies feel pain, how they have memory, how they can play with the umbilical cord and enjoy having fun, how they like hearing their mom and dad's voice, how you can startle them with a loud noise outside of the belly. And these are all just facts. And that's why these younger people are opening up their eyes. And then, of course, the advanced ultrasounds, which is why a lot of clinics now offer free ultrasounds. So if you are a pregnant teenager right now and you're having a hard time knowing what to do, go to a pregnancy center. Go to a pregnancy center, get yourself an ultrasound, and see your child. Because at Planned Parenthood, they're not going to want to let you see an ultrasound.
Yes.
And the states that require it, oftentimes they'll tell them to look away or turn the screens away to do their mandatory ultrasound.
Yeah, I know there's a gentleman in Florida who he was kind of one of the pioneers as far as the ultrasound. And he said he raises funds just to give $100 to every couple that will listen to the ultrasound before they go into the pregnancy center. And he said, like 99% of the time, once they see that heart beating, that they're done. They're like, no, we're keeping this child. And I would say, too, in all the people that I've talked to over the years, I've never met anybody who regretted keeping their child. Nobody. But there are so many women who do regret abortion. And, you know, it has a psychological impact that it's very difficult to reverse. It's a reversible decision. And so it's a win-win if the mother has the child, and even if she gives that child for adoption, whether they reunite or not, they know that they made the right choice.
Absolutely. You know, something I want to touch base on briefly is the fact that a lot of people will be very anti-woman and tell them that they're too poor, they're not smart enough, they're not good enough, they can't have a career, they'll ruin their body. They force feed these lies into girls and women from a very early age that they can't succeed if they have a child. And that's a blatant lie. So many women have overcome adversity. So many women do very well. And, you know, there's this argument out there that they're better off dead than being in foster care. They're better off dead than being in a home that's low income. And it's almost as if they're silencing all of those voices who've overcome the adversity, who became really great people, who made our world a better place.
Absolutely.
There are many people who are former foster children that have done great things.
Absolutely. And the other thing, too, is, you know, who is the average Joe to decide whether or not that child should have a life?
Absolutely.
It's not their decision to make, and they never know what kind of a life that child will have. And I think that many of the kids that have been born out of wedlock, you know, who were almost aborted, but thank God they weren't, they're very happy to be alive. You ask them, and they will tell you they're grateful for their life. So it's really an overstep for people to say whether or not somebody else should live.
Absolutely. I agree. And for anybody out there that is wondering what the right choice is, I really encourage you to look at some various resources that Eileen listed. There's also organizations like Stand Up Girl. Stand Up Girl is a website that has a national database of all of the pregnancy centers. And all you have to do is put in your zip code and it will direct you to local pregnancy centers. Pregnancy centers offer formula, bottles, clothing, diapers, classes, and many other resources that you just can't find at other places like Planned Parenthood or abortion facilities. So please go check them out. Eileen, thank you so much for being here with us and for being an activist for life.
Absolutely.
If you guys want to learn more about the pro-life perspective, go to thenewamerican.com. I'm Heather Hobbs, and we'll see you next time.